Hello everyone, it's Joshua joining you here from Ibrox after Rangers beat St Mirren 4-0 in the Scottish Premiership. A convincing win, lots of talking points, plenty of positives today for Rangers, which we will get into. If you have any thoughts, comments from the game, put them in the comment section and I'll try to get through as many as possible. If you didn't watch the game, or just for memory's sake, I'll give you a little bit of a recap as to what happened before kind of talking a little bit about some of the points you raised and also what the manager and Fashion Sakala has just spoken about in the press conference. Rangers scored relatively early on. I think it was within the opening 5 minutes and make it their earliest goal in the league this season when Antonio Cholak followed in on Borna Barisic's left-footed drive, which came off the post. It was actually close to an excellent goal by Barisic. But Cholak doing what he does inevitably, which is score. You just presume that he's going to score every domestic game he plays at the moment, follows it into the net to make it 1-0. And it was 2-0 before the break, and Cholak won a penalty. Tavernier crossed the ball. Cholak filled at the front post, I believe, by Declan Gallagher. James Tavernier converted from the penalty spot again, as he so consistently does. There was a bit of a lull in the game with it at 2-0, and Alan McGregor made two big saves. One at 1-0 from Mark O'Hara, and the second one, at 2-0, also from Mark O'Hara. What St Mirren did well, and they did this against Celtic, was because of the width they have in attack and the runners they have from midfield, they can sometimes get an extra man in the box if Rangers have committed a number of players forward. O'Hara did that twice really well, but McGregor stood tall, two big saves. Proving his worth and making the difference for Rangers. And then Fashion Sakala kind of took over. He's one of the main talking points. Rangers playing with two wingers. I thought they looked a lot more dynamic in their attacking play today. And the third goal kind of sums it up for me. Sakala receives the ball by the touchline, and it's a type of position where if you're not a player who has a 1v1 threat, if you're not a player who can necessarily go beyond their man, you maybe just turn back inside or play the ball or keep possession going. When you're someone like Sakala who has the pace, the ability to go by two men, drive inside, taking advantage of that space, it opens up the pitch. He went by two players, and then suddenly Rangers are in a really kind of advantageous attacking position, all from him kind of injecting pace at that point of the pitch. Sakala did that, and Cholak's finish different to the ones that we've seen so far. I think all his goals before then had been one or two such finishes. This one was three, I think. He took the ball, chopped it back inside into his right foot, coming inside the defender, who probably presumed that he was going to go right across the goal, and managed to finish with the outside of his foot into the far side of the net. Another fantastic display by Cholak, who along with Sakala was my man of the match. Sakala then got a deserved goal coming off the right, finishing again round the keeper. I think it was with his left foot, but I could be wrong, to make it 4. And Sakala deserved his goal. For me, the right wing has been a problem position for Rangers, and maybe Sakala won't be the answer in every single game, but in these types of games, when Rangers are playing against a low defence, and the manager has just spoken about this, the ability to stretch them on either side. We spoke about it in the morning briefing this week and on the website this morning. To have that wide threat on either side of the pitch, I think is really important and really beneficial. And Sakala certainly gave Rangers that, especially in the second half when, again, him speaking in the press conference just there, he said that the fact that he hadn't played football in so long, because let's not forget this is his first start of the season, meant that it took him a little bit of time to get up to speed, and a little bit of time to adjust to the game. And his second half was far stronger than his first, probably as a result. But I think domestically speaking, that needs to be Sakala's position until someone else puts in a performance that merits it, because Rangers haven't really had someone on the right who, for my money, has put in a performance like that. Admittedly, it's a home game against St Mirren, but these are the games that have become often a little bit ponderous at times for Rangers. And I don't think it's any coincidence that the player that kind of sparked them back into life today was Sakala, with that goal and an assist in the second half. So do let me know what you think in the comment section below. Gallant Pioneer saying, if you've not been chucked out of Ibrox yet, on a match day I'm normally one of the very last people here. So thankfully the press box and inside is open until a little bit later, allowing us to complete our work. But yeah, if you do see someone coming up behind me, they'll probably tell me to get out of Ibrox. First comment here saying, good performance, Sakala played well today. Another comment here saying Sakala to play on the right for the foreseeable. Hopefully he was brilliant in the second half. Yeah, Rangers before today had played, including Sakala, 6 players on the right hand side. Tillman, Arfield, Wright, Matondo, Sakala, one other whose name escapes me. Remind me in the comments. Lawrence. And there's not been a consistent option there. I also allowed James Tavernier to come inside the pitch and kind of impact the game in the centre, which I think suits him quite well. You see him have a couple of shots in the first half. He's such a goal threat and he's so creative. So if you do that, theoretically, if you introduce those traits closer to goal, then you'd imagine that the results will follow. So I agree with that comment. I thought he was brilliant in that second half, and it'd be hard to say again, coming up. I know Sakala, it's easy to look at a player when they've not been in and they have one good performance and pretend that they don't have any weaknesses. Sakala, it's also his first start, I think, today of the season. Obviously, for a reason, the manager obviously hasn't fancied him so far this season, but I thought he took his chance brilliantly today. And as I say, I think he absolutely deserves to retain that place out going forward. Question here about why Davies comes off in every game. I presume that's still a question of him getting up to speed because, pardon me, he's still this is maybe his fourth start. Remember, he didn't really have a full pre-season because Liverpool were away I think they were away in Singapore and maybe other countries in Southeast Asia. And Davies was sorting out his future, so I don't believe he went on that pre-season tour. So it's been a case maybe of him after injury as well, kind of getting back up to speed and making sure that he can contribute as quickly as possible. But I don't know about everyone else. I thought there was the signs there of a really good relationship with Connor Goldson at the back starting to show itself today. Goldson, I thought had a good game defensively. He was aggressive because they were up against the front two, which might sound easy, but normally when you're always got those. Normally when a team comes to play at Ibrox, it'd be two defenders against one striker and you have a little bit more protection in your duels if you lose it. But they had to be quite vigilant in their defending today. St Mirren, as we've said, had a couple of chances by throwing those players into the box, and I thought largely combined with a couple of big Al McGregor saves, and the defence did well. Leon King as well, coming in off the bench, and I think he only 18 years old, but he's already kind of becoming a reliable member of the squad, and is very quickly and very quietly and quietly, we wrote this recently, as a complete compliment of his ability, becoming an important member of the first team squad. Mark says, what an assist from Buff. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's not forget that Alfredo Morelos, who came off the bench today. No goal for him. A side issue, I guess, is that how many games this season going forward can you keep him on the bench if you want to keep him at Ibrox, but that's probably one for another day. You're not moving Antonio Cholak out of that striking position in the league because he's 10 goals in 9 games. He came into the game averaging 1.23 goals per 90 minutes in the league, and that will only have got better today. So I don't think he's moving. I think there will be some solution maybe worked upon to get them both in the team at points, because I think it could work. But certainly Cholak continues his remarkable start to life at Rangers. Let's get through some more of these comments. Just comment to my right here. 2 seconds. Another comment here saying RFC from RFC 56. Sorry, saying Sakala done well today. And another comment here saying he gives speed and unpredictability, and I think that's absolutely right. Sometimes that unpredictability isn't what you want, and I think in the past that's why Fashion Sakala hasn't been a player that started consistently under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. But look at the goal threat that Fashion Sakala gives you out there compared to some of the other players that are going to play in that position. And ultimately, I think that's what Rangers have struggled with at points in the early starts of the season, is having that dynamism in the final third, is having that unpredictability, as you say, speed, the ability to go and make things happen, the ability to drive inside as he did for that third goal with speed and outplay opponents, especially when you're trying to, I guess, beat an opposition who come in and defend at Ibrox. You need to move their defence and create space and commit markers. And I think he did that. I'll be interested to see if he starts against Liverpool, because I don't think Sakala's strength is when he's sitting in a kind of defensive block and being forced to break, although that, despite his speed, I think his best game is when he's in a game like that. A similar game that comes to mind is a 3-0 win against Dundee last season, maybe 4 weeks into Van Bronckhorst's tenure. Sakala played on the left, and time and again he beat his men, and he was a really good performance, and that's what kind of sprung to mind today as well. I thought he did very well. He's certainly the top line. Rabbi Matondo on the other side, a comment here saying I thought both wingers played well on the radio commentary anyway. Matondo was in and out. He hit the post with a shot that would have been that would have been the headline with that goal, because it was from about 25 yards out in the angle. I thought at times he wasn't able to beat his man from a standing start the same way that Sakala was, and maybe, I don't know if slowed the game down too much. I don't think he had he had Barisic for company on the left hand side, but maybe didn't always have a passing option in the middle, and lost the ball on a few occasions. But he did look. I think he looks more natural on the left hand side. I think going forward, if a winger is to play on the right, normally it will be Fashion Sakala. Graham saying, why not try two strikers to see if they can play? Obviously, Van Bronckhorst spoke about that at the press conference yesterday. Certainly something that I think he will look at in the future. We also saw a bit of Ridvan Yilmaz, who came on for the last 15 minutes, still not getting that start. And it is now approaching mid-October. Seems to be Bona Baric's very much first pick. I thought he did well enough today. Again, he's been pretty consistent at the start of the season. Davis says, is that Sands out the picture? Certainly seems that he's not going to be played ahead of Ben Davies at the moment, with Liam King going back in at centre-half from the substitute bench. I wonder if, going forward, Sands' future is maybe playing in midfield for Rangers at points. In saying that, I thought Jack and Lundstrom both did well today. Jack looks more like himself and has continued that from the international break. Quite dynamic, looks fitter, looks sharper, made up a lot of yards. And even when his attacking runs weren't necessarily going to create a goal, specifically, I thought he created room for his teammates at points well. There was a few moments in the first half when Tavernier, from that mentioned slightly more narrow position, was able to play quite a few balls down the sides of the defence, in between the wing back and the centre back, and often I think that room was created by Ryan Jack, making some good movement. And overall, I thought the off-ball movement was quite good from Rangers today. The tempo was better. Again, there was that lull in the second half until the third goal, but ultimately that was kind of, I guess, ended by Fashion Sakala providing the third goal and then adding the fourth. Right, let's get through a few more comments before we call it a day and I get chucked out of the stadium. Davies and Goldson have the makings of a good centre-back pairing. Totally agree with you, Stuart. I think they looked comfortable playing alongside one another. I thought Davies on his left side provided a nice natural balance. There was a couple of times he maybe didn't win his aerial duels, but his centre-back partner helped him out. And as I say, Goldson, I thought, coming in to the midfield, stepping in when he had to try and intercept, to put pressure on his man. I thought he had a pretty commanding display today, this afternoon. Graham saying we need to play Sakala, Matondo, Cholak and Morelos up front. That would be pretty gung-ho. I wouldn't rule it out based on what Van Bronckhorst said at the press conference yesterday. I think the important thing as well for Rangers today was that they do get a performance before obviously going into the Champions League with Liverpool on Wednesday. Rangers have they've not picked up any points at all, have they, in the Champions League so far. But there is still the opportunity to get Europa League football, really, if they were to get something in against Napoli or Liverpool, even a point to set up a game against Ajax on the final day, which would be a sort of playoff, presuming that Ajax don't pick up any points until then, before Rangers go to Motherwell next week. So another 4-0 win to build on the 4-0 win against Hearts. I think the main takeaway for me today is the benefit of playing two wingers domestically. I think I wrote about it last week, I think, with Van Bronckhorst football, given that it's not always the most offensive-minded naturally. To have players who speed the game up is quite important within that. Obviously great for Fashion Sakala to get that goal and an assist. I thought he deserved it, and Antonio Cholak continues to score at a remarkable rate for Rangers. If he keeps up this scoring rate, he'll be well on track for 30 goals this season. I can't remember the last player who did that in a Rangers shirt, but I think he's certainly going to break some records of previous seasons this season based on the number of goals he has scored so far. So you can catch up with all the analysis and the opinions from the game on the website. If you head to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe, you can subscribe for 2 months for just £1 at the moment. We'll have some analysis tomorrow on the kind of tweaked structure today, the role of Sakala, the role of Tavernier, how it worked, why it worked and why it made Rangers look a bit better, as well as all the reaction from today, and then of course all the build up to Liverpool on Wednesday night. So until then, enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, and we'll speak to you on the morning briefing Monday morning 9:30 a.m. on our YouTube and Facebook.